Are you ready to listen to my dad Joe and Uncle Justin talk about sports? Now on with the show.
The Joe Mays and J-Raff Show is brought to you by Mays Sandwich Shop, which have been serving the greater West Lawn area delicious food for over 70 years. You are listening to the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show.
Boring.
A weekly podcast about sports since 2011.
Don't you ever get tired of being wrong all the time?
With a focus on football.
36-yard line of Philly, shotgun snap to Hurts, dropping back, only one person rushing, Hurts looking, standing still, winding up, long pass that lands at the 20, no one is there, zeros on the clock, it's over, the Chiefs have won, Super Bowl 57 on a game-winning field goal, trailing at 10. At the halftime stop, 24-14, they go on to win 38-35. What a game.
Now, here are your hosts, Joe Mays and Justin Raffoff.
All right. I'm not going to do much of an intro here because we're going to dive right into this quickly. Although, Justin, I don't know that intro ever hit as hard as it does right now.
Oh, it's never been more appropriate than it does than it was tonight.
And I know you probably are still hurting, and I'm sorry.
Yeah, we had our good therapy session after that. We ripped that Band-Aid off real quick. Yeah, and honestly, a big part of why it was easier to rip that Band-Aid off is here.
The guy that's sitting right next to you. Yeah, so not to bury the lead, but we're welcoming back for, well, you've been on with us a few times before, Chad, but I don't think we've actually talked to you in person since you've won the Super Bowl. Now not once, but twice, as we heard in the intro, which it hits Justin every time with your last victory over the Eagles. But we appreciate you joining us again here for the show.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So it's been a few years since we had you here. I know you graced us on the phone a few years ago where I just was like, hey, you got a second after, just helping your team clinch a playoff victory, and you joined us for a few minutes, which was awesome. And, we're looking forward to talking about Super Bowl and a retirement announcement from you.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the show, and it's definitely great to be back here in good old Reading, Pennsylvania, and to see you guys as well.
Yeah, well, let's start there. How have things been with your hectic last 4 or 5 weeks?
Yeah, I mean, obviously after the Super Bowl, when you get back to Kansas City, with the parade, obviously we're on a move. We had one last basketball tournament with Chase's, my son's basketball team, so it's been a whirlwind, but at the same time, this was their first experience right after the Super Bowl to go to the parade, which was awesome. And then we got up and moved, and we're finally trying to get settled in Pennsylvania, but we're getting there, and kudos to my wife, Brittany, for doing a lot of that.
Yeah, I can't imagine how quickly you had to get all that together, but I know you've been on a few shows to talk about this already, and you talked with Adam Schefter, you were on Ross Tucker's podcast. When did you know you were going to retire? Is that something that you talked about often with the family, or is that something that kind of hit you this year that you thought that this would be the end?
Yeah, I think right before the season, I mean, just going through training, just how my body felt, my mindset at that particular time was definitely ready to go. I was still competitive, obviously. I wanted to finish off on the right way, and luckily we did. But after talking over with Brittany and the kids, and of course they would say, why don't you play till you're like Tom Brady? And I'm like, well, it's just a little bit different, but I want to be more involved in their lives, and I just feel like my aspirations are elsewhere, and, I felt like I did what I needed to do in my career, and I can, say I go out as a Super Bowl champion, and what better way?
Yeah, really. I don't think you can go out any better. Yeah. It's what everyone's always talking about. John Elway, back-to-back, and he went out.
Sure.
Peyton Manning got to do it now. Both guys, by the way, you have the same number of Super Bowl wins as. So did you see that one meme going around?
I did see that.
Chad Henne has as many Super Bowls or more Super Bowls than these combined quarterbacks. And, of course, my buddy Dan Marino's on that list because he's got a big 0 on there. But I just thought it was great. And that was one of the fun things that we got to see across social media is after you won again is all these people just posting stuff about you. I mean, and the great thing is it's all positive. Like everything I saw was just awesome. Like people just making up stuff and it's just like congratulating you. And one of the coolest things to come out, and it was just in the last week or 10 days, was the Chiefs post to you. They posted an awesome like farewell
video.
Did you know that they were doing something like that?
I didn't, and I thought that was awesome. I mean, not that it brought tears to my eyes, but it just like the mutual respect between me, the organization, the players was just awesome just to see that.
Now, I know you're retired, but was your contract also up with the Chiefs?
Yes.
Had they talked to you before knowing you were retiring, like thinking about like, hey, maybe we can run this back again with you? Or?
Well, so they didn't know. So until like after the game, and then it kind of all fuzzied out. They didn't know that I was going to retire, and then obviously the exit meetings, talking to Coach Reed, talking to Brett Veach, and of course they're like, "Well, you sure you want to do this, or like, what do you want to do? You want to keep playing? Do you want to coach?" And I said, "Well, I'm just gonna have some time with my family, discuss what we're going to do." Obviously, we always talked about training quarterbacks in the area, and obviously being around my family more often too. But yeah, that was the first time they heard it, so I think they were kind of a little shocked, but at the same time, it's like, well, my contract was up. So if they maybe came a little earlier, a month earlier, and said something, but I think I was just ready to move on.
So the Instagram post was very spontaneous then. It kind of just came out of nowhere?
Yeah, so one of my marketing guys was at the game, and we're about to go up to see the Lombardi Trophy, take the kids up, take the pictures, and I see him, and he's like, "Hey, if I throw you a Bud Light bottle, take a picture. I think I got this marketing thing I can do with you." So I was like, "All right," he's like, shoot me like what you're thinking. He's like, "Just take a picture. I'll tell you the details after we get it, but you have to post, and you have to be certain that you're going to retire within an hour."
Oh,
so I'm like, well, I kind of like knew, like even going into it, like this is probably it. Like we made it to the Super Bowl. Win or lose, I felt like that was it. So I was like, sure. I was like, what the hell? I'll take a picture of Bud Light and, see where we can go. And, got a little endorsement off it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So, it's funny how those things come together like that. I remember waiting up, watching the post-game stuff, just wondering, like, were you going to post something eventually, or would you be up on the TV and say something? And I ended up going to bed, and as soon as I woke up, I saw all these notifications, and I saw it. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
He did it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you said it. You can't go out in a better way. 2 Super Bowl titles, going out with a Super Bowl championship. Did you ever, at any point, think you could be in the league for 15 years?
No, I mean, obviously, we stated before, my goal was 12 years. I got to 12 years. I got injured. I broke my ankle. So I figured I couldn't go out that, and we actually won the Super Bowl that year, too. So that kind of brought me back. I felt like I still had a little bit more left in the tank and just had more aspirations to keep playing. But, yeah, to say, you win that one, then you win this one, after so many years of not even making the damn playoffs, you're just like, is it ever going to happen? Am I ever going to get to that pedestal? And to do it twice, just so many people, obviously, not just me, but, I mean, I've been on some great teams, and obviously going to Kansas City was one of the best decisions I ever made in my life.
Yeah, really. Amazing what that decision turned out for you, because we talked to you, I think, right around the time you had either just signed with Kansas City or were you there for a year, and we talked to you about your free agency journey after your years in Jacksonville and the visits and talking to coaches, and there were a few teams going after you, and I guess it's safe to say you made the right decision.
Yeah, and I'm glad. And obviously, like I said, there's so many people from the top down, Clark Hunt, Brett Veach, Andy Reid. It's just a first-class organization and just a lot of respect for them.
That's one of those things that, and we, like you said, we've talked about this before, but like when we talked to you after you were with the Chiefs and like you had like great things to say about Andy, was awesome because like I love Andy Reid.
Yeah.
The Eagles were terrible when I was growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they were really good when I was little,
sure.
And then Randall got hurt and left, and Reggie White left, and they were awful again. And then they were terrible until Andy came and he turned around the franchise, and like, so like I love Andy, but you never,
Sure.
I know him through the TV.
Right.
So like when you're like, oh yeah, he's great and I love playing, and I'm like, yes, it's one of those things where you're just like, oh, that's good to hear, like, because you don't ask those questions because you don't necessarily always want to know, but like it was awesome.
Yeah. I mean, he's just one of those coaches. Obviously, he's a player's coach, but at the same time, the ease of just like going into his offense is just like speaking to him. Like there's many times in my career where it's like you kind of cringe and you creep by the head coach's office and you're like, shit, don't say my name, and then I said it. You're like, Chad, I got something to say to you, but it was never like that with Coach Reed. It was always like he sat in so many meetings, so many quarterback meetings, so many in Eric Bieniemy's office, our coordinator, and he was always around us and always talking to us as quarterbacks and as a team. That it was like, I mean, it was literally just like talking to a friend. And that's what makes him so great.
And that's the environment you want to have.
Yeah.
And that's why I think so many people want to play for Andy Reid, both with the Eagles and now obviously with the Chiefs, and what the program has become out there is just phenomenal. So let's look back a few weeks before the Super Bowl. Patrick Mahomes, a little banged up, not able to play. People were worried about him. And you got to come in against one of your old teams, the Jacksonville Jaguars, and it's okay, right? It's just fine. Record-setting 98-yard touchdown drive. What were you thinking the moment that you're stepping on that field?
Like, damn it, why does it happen again at these situations, right? I mean, it's just one of those, not that the regular season doesn't matter, but it's always those divisional games or the games that mean the most that Patrick seemed to just have a little tweak and go down and then, have to jump in there. But at the same time, you're excited. Obviously, the nerves are running through, the anxiety a little bit. But at the same time, if you just calm your breath, you rely back on your preparation. I always say I prepared like a starter each and every week, and I feel very comfortable. I mean, 5 years in the system, I knew the system like the back of my hand. So to go in there, not saying it's an easy task, but there's a lot of great players around me as well. So I just kind of just one play at a time. And when they said, hey, let's throw this stick route first play of the game, I was like, hell yeah. I was like, let's throw the ball rather than, they're probably anticipating run.
Right, because you're backed up to the
backed
2-yard
up
line.
and everything, yeah.
And that kind of gets you going as a quarterback. I mean, you get your first completion, you start going, and, luckily, all the play calls were exactly what I was thinking, and it just went the right way.
Yeah, I don't remember if it was like maybe a 3rd and short or a 4th and short on that drive, but I remember the play, and it may not have been identical to the play you ran when you were playing against the Browns.
The sprint out.
Right,
yeah.
But I'm like, oh, that was the play. Now, it wasn't Tyreek Hill this time, but like just watching it, I'm like, and again, it's one of those where I'm like, I knew that. I shouldn't say I knew that was coming, but like I'm just a guy at home. I'm like, that's the play. Like you talked about it, like how they talk about what are you comfortable with, and I'm telling everyone in my living room, I'm like, he told us that's the play. But it's just like it was cool having that insight. Looking, I'm like, there it was like.
Yeah, and that goes back to like all our meetings with Coach Reed and Eric Bieniemy and even Matt Nagy, is that those plays come up in those situations. Like Coach Reed, if he has our rankings, which he does all the time, he's going to call that number one ranking, even if it's been called. Like if Patrick already called it and we called it, if I'm in there, he's going to stick to that game plan, which is great and makes you feel comfortable as a quarterback.
Yeah, it's awesome because like if they're gonna take the time to ask your opinion, to value your opinion is a whole nother level. Yeah. Like it's one thing to ask, hey, which ones do you like?
Right.
It's another to like in a playoff game be like, yep, this is what he wants. That's what we're doing.
Sure.
That's awesome.
So you're able to end that drive with a touchdown pass. First postseason touchdown pass, which it didn't even click at the time when I hear someone say it. And then I immediately go on Twitter, I'm like, man, I hope they save that football. And Dustin Miller, a Wilson football player, responds to me, he's like, yeah, Travis Kelce threw it about 25 rows into the stands. I was like, ooh, I hope they're able to get that back, which became a whole thing with Travis. He talked about it on the podcast, which I have grown to love. Like, that is an incredible show because Travis is incredibly funny, and I love Jason for being an offensive lineman and playing center, and him being an Eagles fan. Justin's always talking about how much he loves Jason, so I've watched that show religiously now, and one of my favorite things was Travis talking about, like, oh, we got to get that ball back. So Did you ever get that ball?
So I don't have the ball. the man actually came on because they interviewed him in Kansas City on a local station and said, here's the ball. And he said he gave it back, but I still haven't received
You
it.
still don't have it.
I do have a game ball, though, from Patrick gave me the game ball, which I paneled then saying, hey, first
Okay.
touchdown, even though it's not the same ball, but we can pretend.
Right.
Semantics, right?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's good to know that you know where it was, and
Sure.
supposedly it's coming back. Hopefully, it lands in your house at some point. But before we dive into a few of my other questions, since you mentioned you got a ball panel, one of the things I wanted to ask you about is, are you like a collector of your things to remember those moments? Do you have game used helmets, jerseys, footballs, anything like that? Is there something that you keep? Are you a person that does that, or are you just like one thing's enough?
I'll tell you what, you learn obviously when you get older. A lot of wisdom goes through. When I was younger, I was just a cheap ass, and especially in Miami, I think there are many jerseys that I had, and people I would have sponsorships where I'd get these jerseys, but I usually sign them, give them away, whatever. And I think I only have one, and it was rightfully so. It was our first game as a Dolphin. We played the Jets in I don't even know what the hell it was called, probably Land Shark Stadium or whatever.
Oh,
but it was my first jersey, and I'm proud that I have that one.
So you have that one.
I wish I would have bought the helmet, but again, I was a cheap ass. But now, I have the Jaguars, I have the Chiefs, and rightfully so. I can probably go to the Dolphins equipment guys and say, "Hey, can you give me a helmet?" But it's changed, so
right,
the logo
it's
has
not
changed,
exactly
which
the same.
would kind of be not so good. But I do have a lot of jerseys. I have all four of my Michigan jerseys, bowl games. I have all the colors of the Jaguars jerseys. Like I said, I have my one Dolphins jersey, which is sad. I should have the orange, the teal, the white.
Yeah, you need
And
that.
the Chiefs jerseys I have, and all the balls that either I was presenting game ball by the team, or if it was like a Sunday night or Monday night, player of the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I wasn't sure exactly. I've heard Ross Tucker talk about it. I've seen people do athletes do tours of their houses or whatever,
Sure.
and they have these jersey walls and everything. And I just was curious what you like to hold on to, if that was something you did.
We were just talking, just a quick side note on that, a couple weeks ago, they sold a Joe Montana jersey, went on auction.
Yeah.
And it was the jersey he wore for 2 Super Bowls. I'm like,
Which is
that
crazy.
That would never happen now, obviously.
right.
But I'm just like, the crazy thing to me wasn't the amount. It sold for some
Yeah, a
crazy
lot of
amount,
money.
obviously. But I sent to him right away, I was like, can you believe they wore the same jersey in 2 Super Bowls? And it wasn't back to back. I think it was
there.
it was one, and then it was off, and then
and
it
then
was
it
the
was on
next
again,
one. But I was just, just in terms of obviously the whole merchandise thing,
Sure.
it was changed over the
'cause
some years since that happened.
Yeah, because Patrick and Kelsey, they switch out their jerseys every single game. There's a new one every game that they switch out, whether they give it to somebody, they sign off on, or they auction it off to charity or whatever. But every game they have a different jersey.
Do they ever do a halftime switch? Is that even allowed? I don't even know if it's allowed.
I guess if you're a lineman or something and it's just too sweaty or stuff like that, but not normally unless it's ripped.
I guess maybe if they the Hall of Fame calls them, if you set a record in this, take it
Yeah,
off,
yeah.
seal it off.
Sure.
We want to. We've had Tom Brady's jersey get stolen in the Super Bowl before, and
Right.
end up in Mexico, and they had to get it back. So all kind of crazy things. But let's see. Let's get to some questions that were sent my way. Let's pull up the first one. A lot of people saying hello to you, Chad, including your mom.
All right. Hey, Mom.
A lot of congratulations on the retirement and on your career. So I did have, and I mentioned to this earlier, let me okay, here we go. So I will transition this over so that everyone watching can see. This is from Twitter, and Patrick Manwiller. He said to you, Chad, he wanted to know about your jersey number.
Mm-hmm.
He said, for the majority of his career, Chad wore number 7. Was that number significance due to influence, or was it something else? So what led you to start with 7?
Yeah, so freshman year in high school, I was a running back my whole life, so I was either 34 for sweetness or I was 3. I was I had the 3 and the 4 in mind, and I felt well, I'm a quarterback here in the high school, and I think 3 was taken. So I was like, 3 plus 4 equals 7. So, and 7 seems like a lucky number. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
So that kind of continued, obviously, through Michigan, through Miami, through Jacksonville. And then 7 was taken at the Chiefs by Harrison Butker. So it was coming off his rookie year. He had a really good rookie year. And Brett Veach, the GM, said, okay, so the only thing is I can't give you 7. And I was like, come on, to a kicker? I'm like, what are we doing?
He's probably like, come on, man,
yeah,
it's a
yeah,
kicker.
Yeah,
It's
and he
all
goes,
idea.
it's definitely mental. And I was like, all right, well, I don't want to screw up his mojo just in case I have to play and I have to rely on this guy. So I asked Chase, my son, what number would he like? And, of course, they had a couple numbers. And he said, Dad, I want you to be number 4 because at the time Chase was 4 years old.
Oh, see, that's awesome.
So that continued with, and I said, listen, buddy, when you turn 5, I can't just switch you to 5 and, go on this thing. And he goes, no, just stick with 4. So that's where the 4 came from.
So you mentioned, we're talking jersey numbers. You mentioned some players that had jersey numbers that you wanted or were. I actually have some trivia we're going to get to in a little bit that this conversation might come full circle.
All right.
I am testing you specifically. No,
I'm actually horrible at
it's just
sporting
some things
trivia.
that I came up with. Well, it's all related to you
Okay,
specifically.
all right,
So
hopefully I can figure out my own.
a couple other things here. John, we're going to talk about that for sure. We'll get to that momentarily. Megan asked if you have any community events lined up, or if anyone's running a meet and greet for you now that you're back in the area. I think you have kind of like what you did maybe at the Reading Fighting Phils years ago.
Yeah.
An opportunity to pictures, shake hands, get autographs.
Not at the moment. Actually, I was supposed to do at Ledge Rock, the golf course, yesterday. Andy Miller, who actually did some lessons with Chase, I was supposed to speak to their golf team, or his 6 individuals that he does lessons with yesterday, but he came down. I think he was sick, so we'll have to postpone that. But there's some nuances like that I'm more than happy to talk to kids and kind of just get how I think or how I went about a process to share my experiences for sure. But as of now, if people want to hit me up, for sure. I can't say I'm going to do everything, but if it's something that's intriguing that I think work both sides,
I was going to say,
definitely.
it's got to be a double-edged sword to be like, oh, it's cool that people are excited for you, that excited that you're back. It's also like everyone knows you're back.
And it was kind of funny today.
it's
So
gotta be
my
like,
son,
okay.
my son played a 3-on-3 basketball tournament today at Exeter High School, and so the coach, we split up three teams as our one team just to go play. And he's like, "Hey, do you mind coaching?" I was like, "Heck yeah! I love doing this stuff." And the whole time, people were coming up, "Hey, can you sign this?" And I'm like, and it was actually while I was coaching, which I didn't turn anybody down. I signed it, but I'm like, it's like, but it was perfectly fun. They were super sweet. They were actually all respectful and good people.
Yeah. Well, you bring out the best in people, as you saw with my daughter when you arrived. She was overcome with emotions that she couldn't even say any words to you for a few minutes. But yeah, you're always really great with kids. I remember watching you. I can't believe that was 4 years ago now, the Reading Phillies event.
Oh, yeah.
You were there for I think over an hour just meeting everyone. But yeah, so any events that come your way, let me know. If
Sure.
you would like people to show up to something, I will make sure I get it posted.
Well, the Hall of Fame, which you posted, so
yes.
not cool. That's really, but I will be inducted into Berks County Hall of Fame.
Yes, that's a good point. End of April.
Yes.
It is Sunday, April 30th. You can buy tickets. You can buy a table through the Berks County chapter of the Pennsylvania Hall of Fame. That's coming up end of April. So there's an opportunity right there. You buy a ticket to the dinner and induction ceremony, and you got a chance to not only meet Chad Henne, who's won multiple Super Bowls, but also James Devlin, who has won multiple Super Bowls. Mm-hmm. Also, I believe baseball players Wade Miller.
Miller's there.
Miller. 2 back-to-back state champion baseball teams from Ole Valley, and longtime Red and Eagle scribe Rich Garcella. So, and a bunch of other people that I can't think of off the top of my head. But looking forward to that. Justin and I are making plans to have a table at that event to cover, and I'd like to take some pictures for a variety of people. And it should be fun. So that's at the end of April. So right there's an opportunity. Check out the Berks County chapter of the Pennsylvania Hall of Fame, Sports Hall of Fame. So
I'll go ahead.
I was just going to say, we're going to dive into trivia shortly, but there is one question I have to ask because it's what everyone wants me to ask. Yeah. So, but I'll let you go first, Justin.
Someone asked me, they said, obviously it's different when you're in the league, but they didn't know about before you're in the league and maybe now that you're out of the league. Is there a team that you're like, hey, you know what? If I have to sit down and watch, I'm going to root for a team. My guess, and what I said to the person was, I feel like, if anything, I'd say maybe the Chiefs, just because of the relationships you have with the players there. But I was like, I would imagine it is a bit of the relationships and you root for players in
Absolutely.
certain situations. But I said, obviously, he'd probably have a lot of those with the Chiefs right now, so that would be my guess. But I wasn't sure what you would
Yeah,
say.
for sure. Definitely the guys that I played with. Obviously, the Chiefs will be very close to our hearts. I mean, that's where pretty much my kids were raised, and they definitely love them. We love them. But we're big Sixers fans. We're Phillies fans. We're not Eagles fans, which
I get.
and it's not because of the Super Bowl and not playing, but I just never, for some reason, never grew up a Eagles fan. And,
I feel you.
yeah, I was a 49ers fan growing up. I was a Joe Montana fan, obviously Western Pennsylvania quarterback. He was my idol. But I wouldn't say I root for the 49ers, but like you said, it's more people that I've either encountered, coaches, players, that I respect, that I'll always root for them.
Yeah. Awesome. So, two big questions that I want to get to before we dive into this little trivia thing I set up. One was there was that report this week. Adam Schefter said that you were already approached, despite being retired for just 5 weeks, that someone wanted to see how steadfast you were in that retirement. What did you end up? Can you tell us that team and what did you say to them?
Yeah, it was Washington Commanders, and Eric Bieniemy was our coordinator in Kansas City. So he is now the coordinator at the Commanders. He, I think, will do an excellent job there. But he reached out. He's like, "Hey, I think you could fit in. You know, we're trying to push Sam Howell. He's a young quarterback. I think you could be a great mentor. And if need be, I know you'll be ready." And I was like, okay. I was like, send me the numbers. I'll obviously pass it to my agent and see where we go from there. And the number that he said obviously wasn't the number that the GM said to me. So I was like, okay, well, I don't see that number. And he goes, all right, well, what's the number that's going to get you off the couch? So I give him a number and let it be. It was higher than I normally would do. And not saying that I'm greedy right now, but at the same time, that situation is not, to me, a backup job because nobody knows Sam Howell. Nobody knows what he's going to be like. Not saying he's not going to be great, but it's a little bit different when you're playing with Patrick Mahomes, knowing that you're automatically the backup.
Yep.
I would go in there. I know the system for 5 years, so I'm already ahead of the game over a second-year player. And I'm like, so if I end up, week 2 starter and I'm getting what I'm paid as a backup, that really doesn't counterbalance. So that's where I kind of left it is, and I respect Eric Bieniemy, and obviously just them reaching out, I thought out of respect, but I was like, as of now, no.
Yeah. Well, and you said that you got 15 years in and you're ready to move on to the next stage. But I thought it was funny that as soon as I saw, Ryan Woolward tagged me in it immediately. I was laughing about it. It was like, he's retired for 5 weeks and they already got people begging for him to come back.
And of course, I tell my kids, and I'm like, Chase, what do you think? He's like, no, you're not going to the Commanders. I'm like, hold on. Their defense actually is pretty good. And they have some good players.
So Chase draws the line in this thing. So he knows. He's like, so I'm sure he's all in on the Chiefs. Does he have other like, is he going to always now be a Chiefs fan because Dad was on the Chiefs, so I'm a Chiefs fan?
I think so.
Forever?
I'm sure kids will persuade him, obviously, here. Like, even when we were in Kansas, like, he wasn't a big Jayhawks fan, but we went to one game. Okay. And he was like, yeah, like, Dad, I want a jersey. No, you said you weren't a fan, so you don't get a jersey. Okay?
Ooh.
But he's funny. I mean, he loves sports. He loves watching it. And, I love experiencing it with him.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, I saw you already mentioned you were coaching already here. I saw you were hanging out, coaching out in Kansas City. And Hunter's also very active in sports, too. So, very sports-driven family. I don't think anyone would be surprised by that. So, has it been easy for them to get acclimated back here in the area, both with school but in their activities?
Yeah, I think in the schools here, they accepted them, I mean, right when they walked in. And I think sports do help, too, like being on those teams. Mm-hmm. So we got home last Monday, and we had the first basketball practice that night. Like, we flew in, 1 o'clock, and Coach was like, hey, if you're around, we have basketball tonight at 6. I was like, we'll be there. Like, just so Chase could, feel comfortable.
Right.
And Hunter knew a couple girls that we kind of solved throughout the summer, that people that we graduated with that have kids. So she knew some people in her class, but it's been great. And the schools are great here, and that's one of the reasons we came back here. The people are great. And, we're looking forward to the, school and end of the school year and see where it goes.
To jump one step back to the unretirement questions, because my dad asked, he wanted to know if someone would come around during the season. Is that something you're going to be entertaining? 6-7 weeks in, all of a sudden someone needs someone. Is that something that you think, at this moment where you maybe, is it kind of just depends on the situation?
Yeah, I think I'll never say no, never, but I'm pretty content. Like, it's going to take, like, obviously a contender and the right situation. And Coach Reed, even when I left, he's like, well, just, like, if you ever get the itch, I'm just saying, like, you never know what happens. Like, Patrick, like a divisional right game, 2024, Patrick goes down, hey, can you come in next week? I don't know about that one, but, I'll always stay ready. But, as right now, I'm very content of where I'm at with the kids, just getting the house settled and settling in here. Yeah.
So the overwhelming question that I received from anyone and everyone when I asked, hey, what do you want me to ask Chad when he's on the show, was, what are you going to do now? What are your plans now back in this area, both professionally? We've talked in the past on this show about you wanted to train quarterbacks, run football clinic type thing, and you've also showed an interest in coaching in some capacity.
Sure.
Is that anything that you focused on yet? Is that, it's only been 5 weeks, I know, but did you have a plan going into retirement saying, all right, these are my next steps?
Yeah, and I think as I look forward to it, like coming up, I don't want to do anything inside because rental space and kind of getting that all situated, and most of the space is already rented out throughout sports. But once it gets nicer out, where I can get outside, kind of use the free air and, a lot of the spaces out here that I know, that's when I'll start engaging and kind of reaching out and kind of putting my name out there for training. And that's where my mindset is now. Coaching-wise, I'm not sure because I don't know how busy I'm really going to get. And the good thing about that is that I can set my own schedule. Like, I retired for a reason to spend time with my family. Like, I want to obviously spend more time with Brittany, Hunter, and Chase. So they're priority number one, and I feel like training, I can at least set my own schedule and go to their practices, go to every game, which I'll definitely be at. Coaching high school, which I still do have aspirations for, but it's just like, well, I might get too busy, and then I'm taking on that, and I just don't. I don't want to go in just half full. I just want to go full force ahead.
Full commitment.
Yeah, and so right now it's just going to be training and just see where it goes.
Okay. Well, I know a lot of people are hopeful with you back in the area that you'll end up coaching in some capacity at some level around the Wilson program. I'm sure Chase will be playing for, I guess, Van Reed this fall.
He'll be this will be his first year in pads. So
nice.
Goes, yeah.
Okay, very exciting. And then just a few years down the road, then and hitting middle school. So maybe Justin and I will see.
Yeah, there you go. So, Old Fernsler. We'll see if Fernsler's still around. Man.
I think maybe we talk to Anton sticking around. I can't. It's always a possibility. But yeah, that was the big one. People want to know, like, what are your plans are? What are you going to get going? Because I know people are excited to have you back. Want to talk to you just like we did, but also, like you said, put your knowledge to use. Train the next generation, and it's good to know that that's what you're looking to do. As long as it didn't impact family time, which after the last 15 years, you've certainly earned. So
I do have one other question that I had just kind of. I thought of this earlier in the week, and I don't know what the situation was for you, but I know I've read that there are, like, when people are professional athletes, there's certain things like that sometimes in their contract or even just like as a responsibility because, like, I don't want to mess up how I make a living, that you can't do. Whether it's like, ride a motorcycle or, do things like that. Is there something that, like, and again, outside of sports, that you're like, oh man, I couldn't really do this because, like, I'm a professional athlete, that now you're like, you know what, maybe now I'll go skydiving, or maybe now I'll do... Is there something on that list that you're just like, I don't know, I think I'm going to do this now?
Yeah, me personally, no, but Brittany would say automatically we're going skiing.
Okay, yeah.
She was a big skier, and I think I maybe went skiing once. She took me once in college, and I thought my dad was literally going to kill her. Like, he literally called her multiple times, like, you better not, like,
Never
get him
again.
injured. Right. And we went down, like, I mean, it wasn't even big. Like, there's not a lot of big mountains in Michigan. And just, like, this little bunny hill. And I was like, all right. Like, I was a skate guard at Body Zone. So I'm like, I feel like I can do it. And it wasn't as easy as I thought. But Brittany would say, hey, let's go skiing. But I'm like, at this time, Like, even when right after we were done, she's like, let's go. I'm like, well, it's freezing cold here, and we're going to be living in cold weather the rest of our lives. Why would I go on vacation and freeze my ass off instead of just like, let's go somewhere warm? But
Well, we didn't even have a winter here this year, so that wouldn't
well, knock on wood, it's still March.
Mentally,
April.
I've shifted. I've shifted to spring.
Oh, yeah, I'm ready
all
for
in
baseball
on spring.
now,
Like,
yes.
let's get
I
going.
mean, it was cold this morning, though.
I know.
And
It
today.
was,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
So I want to move on as trivia, but now I got a lot more questions for you. So first, I got congratulations again. So big 33 game end of May. Wilson got Cam Jones playing. Have you talked to Cam?
Yeah, I've talked to
You've talked
Cam,
to Cam.
and obviously Jaden. I've
Okay,
known
yeah.
Jaden
Yeah.
for a little bit.
Yeah, it was, their dad said congratulations, and he said, "Come watch Cam play the big 33
Yeah,
game."
for
So
sure.
I'm going to photograph that. So
Awesome.
maybe I'll see you there.
Yeah.
Also, I got a question of when you moved back here. Was there something that you were craving food wise? Was there something that you wanted? Like, I can't get this, in Miami, Jacksonville, Kansas City, but when I'm in Berks County, this is what I want to eat. Is there like a local staple, like cheesesteak, pretzels? Is that you're like?
Yeah.
I need.
Now,
I
now
need
you're
to get.
just like got my mouth watering. I mean, the ring bologna and cheese. If you're not,
There you go.
if you're not
Yeah.
at like a get together and there's not ring bologna and cheese,
You're not in
thing,
Berks
like,
County.
you're not in Berks County.
I love when Ross Tucker posts that kind of stuff and like he's like, 99% of my feed is not gonna have no idea what this is, and all the people around here, and I look at it, I'm always like, of course I know what that is. Not, obviously understanding that you don't have to drive too far, and people are like, what is that?
What is that? Yeah. Well, yeah, Ross tagged me in his ICT post. That was a big one for me.
I used to
That's
hold
like,
that up to Penn
That
State.
is
for
my
you.
the nectar. Like that is my vice. Is Clover Farms ICT. And yeah, Ross was like, most of you people have never had the greatest drink in the world, and then they went, "What? Clover Farms ICT." So,
Yeah, I mean, obviously Philly Pretzel Factory like that.
Yeah.
Like pizza places out in the Midwest are not very good.
Oh really?
Yeah, so like
that's a
a
bummer.
nice slice of pizza
Yeah.
is very hard to find. So that's always good. Obviously cheesesteaks. Chase and I went to the Sixers game last Sunday, so we went to Chicky and Pete's. So we were there.
It's
So
Philly staple.
yeah, so those things that you always.
Those
But there's
things.
always good homegrown food here.
Yeah, for sure. So we're going to jump into trivia here quickly. And this is the Chad Henne trivia that I have come up with. So
Hey, don't cheat.
We're going to...
Oh, no.
yeah, pulling up his phone, cheating
That's
already.
right. That's right.
So these, I have 5 what I call names questions and then 5 numbers questions. So these 5 name questions are going to be player names, and then the numbers are going to be statistical. So I'll pose this. We'll wait a few seconds, see if anyone in the chat can get it. Or if you know it off the top of your head, you feel free. Since it's about you, you can just throw the answer out there. Justin, this is on you too. You gotta know this. All right, here we go. So names question 1 of 5. Can you name the player to start the game before Chad Henne's first start at each of his stops from high school through the NFL? So right before you debuted for a team from Wilson, Michigan, Miami, Jacksonville, and Kansas City, who was the player that started at quarterback before you?
Every player, so
we got
Wilson would have been. I mean, Ian Firestone. We kind of split the first game.
I didn't count Ian.
Okay. Tony Sapola.
Yeah,
That's Wilson.
I knew that one, and I wasn't even here yet, but I knew that
sure
one.
you did.
I knew that one.
So you want me to answer, or Justin's gone? Like,
No,
I
no,
probably-
I know.
See, the Michigan one, Michigan one's a little harder.
I'm
Because,
pretty sure he
I
knows.
know.
yeah. Well, because he was
Big, long,
he was
like tall.
well, the name that's coming to mind.
Multi-year. He was there for a while.
4 years. Yeah, he played 4 years.
I can't remember if the guy I'm thinking of was there before
Just
you or after
say
you.
it.
Is it Ryan Mallett?
No, that's
he's
That was
after.
after. Right.
John
that's the one.
Navarre.
John Navarre,
That's
yeah.
right. That's right.
You know Miami? You probably should know Miami.
Jets.
Yeah, Chad
Who's that?
Pennington.
Chad
There you
Pennington.
go.
Jacksonville. Now this is first start. Just okay. First start.
I can probably only name. Well,
I already put it up in the
I
chat.
mean, there's been a lot in
Oh,
Jacksonville
your mom
history.
got your mom
Mark
got
Brunell.
John. Your mom
is
got
that
John.
who it was? Well, that was the one I was thinking, but I was like, there's no way. But I'm like, Mark Brunell is one of those players who played till he was like 40, so
He
I'm
did?
like, maybe it was
Mark
Brunell. But I
may
wasn't
appear
sure.
later in this if
Okay.
I'm remembering. If I
So-
picked that question,
So it's not. Oh,
you know the name. You know the quarterback.
yeah. Who was it?
Went to Mizzou.
Oh,
with
still in the
Tampa
league.
Bay
But-
Buccaneers.
Yeah, he's with
Back
Tampa.
up to Tom Brady.
I like putting Justin on the spot.
Had long hair.
Who is it?
Blaine Gabbert.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was drafted first round the year before I got there.
Yeah.
And then everyone knows Kansas City.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's pretty easy. I don't want to say. We mentioned Patrick already multiple times, so we'll move on. Your mom got John Navarre. She nailed that one, so good. Oh, I had a. Oh yes, I had a bonus on this one. Could you name the team that your first start was against at all those 5 stops?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, jeez. First start was at Harrisburg High School.
Yep.
Michigan, Miami, Ohio.
Yep.
Miami Dolphins, Buffalo Bills.
No, you came in, I believe, in relief against the Bills. I think.
So the Jets.
Yeah. Nope. This team actually appears twice in the next 3 answers.
What?
Yeah. It was shocking to me too. I did not know this.
I felt like it was the Buffalo Bills.
I don't know.
Come on, Justin, help me out here. What is it?
The San Diego Chargers against
Oh,
Miami.
well, that
Dolphins.
wasn't a start. I came in that one.
Did I flip flop those?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna
Get
flip
your
flop.
facts
Oh,
right.
geez.
Wikipedia. Wikipedia
That's
is
why I
wrong.
didn't know it.
wrong.
Okay.
So
I was thinking
Buffalo
San Diego.
Bills is the
so
week
Chad
after.
got injured against
Yeah.
San Diego. Okay,
Yep.
then I flip flopped them. I should have
Yep.
made that change. Jacksonville, you know who it was?
Jacksonville.
This is also you played a lot the week before because
It was against the Colts that I came in the week before.
So who was the week after? You actually,
it was the Titans.
it was the Titans. Very,
Titans.
very good.
Yep.
And the Chiefs.
The Chiefs. My only start was the Chargers.
Chargers. Yep. Chargers
CT my ass,
appearing
baby.
Twice, but
Tell Brittany that one.
was that the snow game? The Chargers.
No, but it was cold.
It was cold.
Yeah.
So yeah, very good. Got you. You nailed those. Schooled me on the Buffalo Bills too. I
She's
must
probably
have.
like, how the hell you can't remember what the hell I told you? Selective listening.
It was like a couple years ago. I had to have a hearing test done, and I came home like, I know you're not going to believe this, Jamie, but they said I passed with flying colors, which was maybe the worst case scenario because then I didn't have the excuse of I just didn't hear it.
All right, names question number 2. Can you name the players that caught Chad Henne's first touchdown pass on each of his 5 teams?
Oh boy, I don't know that one.
You've already said one of these names.
Wilson. Let's go with Andy Rowland.
It was not Andy Rowland.
Ian Firestone.
It was Ian Firestone.
Ian,
Yeah,
okay.
in game 2 against Stroudsburg.
Okay, yeah, I threw like 4 ding dongs in that one.
It was
12-6 barn burner.
Yeah, it was an interesting game for sure. Yes, and we had to go up there on those buses, and it was
Yeah.
a fun time. How about at Michigan?
Michigan, Braylon Edwards.
Absolutely.
Miami.
That was a recurring theme there.
Henny to Edwards is seared into the back of my mind.
I
from
love
that
watching the
first year.
highlights of that Michigan State game.
I'll
Yeah.
take Henny to Edwards over Henny to Manningham any day of the week. So
The Dolphins.
narrow it down.
Let's go with Fasano.
It was not Anthony. No,
Ted Ginn.
no, it wasn't Ted Gibb.
Ronnie Brown.
It was not. No.
Check down, maybe. No.
So his alma mater is a school that you don't discuss openly. It's not a team you like to talk about.
Ohio State.
But it wasn't Ted Ginn.
But it wasn't Ted Ginn.
No,
Who the hell else was? I don't know.
it's Brian Hartline.
Hartline. That was my first touchdown pass?
Mm-hmm.
No way, because he came in like 2 years later. Dude, you're
If I screw this up again, I swear I will double check.
Because Hartline, I actually went 2009. I went to go recruit him, so I had to throw it before him.
Well, or Pro Football Reference is screwing with me because that's where I got all this stuff from. So
That might have been though.
I'm
2009. See if he was 2009 Hartline.
Brian Hartline. Let's see when he was drafted. Because Ginn came in 07.
If it's
it was
2009,
09 to
then-
15. He played 09 to
Okay.
15.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I
Yep,
believe
his
you.
first
I
year was
believe-
in
I believe you know.
2009.
I believe you.
3 touchdowns that year for
Hartline.
Miami.
Nice.
So, how about Jacksonville?
Cecil Shorts.
Absolutely. And Chiefs. First touchdown with the Chiefs.
Byron Pringle.
Yep, you got
Oh,
it. That's
yes.
very good. Very good. So, Justin, thank you for your help on that question.
Yeah, Justin, way to go. Jeez.
Hey, I got the first one. I got the
You
first one.
did, yeah. Honestly, my first thought when I came up with that question, I was like, that's got to be Andy Rowland, right? I was like, he threw a touchdown first game. Andy Rowland then he left for most of the Saturday, come back because of heat exhaustion. But I know Chad threw it to Andy Rowland, and I looked, I was like, no.
I think I was throwing it like at his ankles. I couldn't like figure it out. It was bad.
All right, question 3. Names question 3. Chad Henne holds multiple records at Michigan, including career completions, passing yards, and touchdowns. He's tied for first in single-season touchdowns and tied for second in single-game completions. Who's he tied with, or who does he trail?
Got to be John Navarre. No?
John Navarre is not the answer, no.
Is it new age, old age? It probably has to be new.
It's pre your arrival.
How about Greasy?
No, great guess, but no.
Tom Brady.
Tom Brady is the single game completions. You're tied for second. Tom Brady has that one with 34 and 99 against Alabama.
Wow, nice.
How about touchdowns? Season touchdowns, single season touchdowns. Who you tied with?
At Michigan.
At Michigan.
For 87.
Single season.
Oh, single season. Just touchdown passes.
Just touchdown passes.
What did I do? Like 26?
25.
25. Oh, man.
Not Brady, not
Tom
Greasy,
again.
not John. It's not Tom again. No, Tom was the answer. I had to get a Tom Brady answer in there when we're talking football. So he was the single game completions. That's who you trail there. But
Jim Harbaugh.
no, that would have been a fun one, but no. This one is a name that
Denard Robinson.
no, it's before you got there.
Okay.
Drew Henson.
It is not Drew Henson.
That's a good one.
This
How about
individual-
Elvis Gerbach?
You got it. There it is. Elvis Gerbach. That's right.
Elvis
It
Gerbach is always one of those when he comes up in Michigan. I'm like, wait, Elvis Gerbach went to Michigan? Like it just
That's
never.
another 15-year guy, too.
Yeah. Ravens, right? He played for the
Well,
Ravens.
he played for the Chiefs as well.
Oh, that's right. He did.
Yeah.
So, all right. So that was names question 3 of 5. Let's quickly move on to question 4. Chad Henne set the Wilson High School single-season passing touchdown record of 23 during his junior season in the fall of 2002. Who has since broken his record? So the name of the Wilson football player who broke your single-season
I think I know this
record. Yeah, you definitely know this one.
Yeah, I know it, too. Gosh.
I say I know this one. Then watch me say the wrong name.
I can picture his face right now. I play golf with him like every year.
Yeah, you definitely did.
Yep, Yep. You're thinking of the right kid.
God, why can't I think of his name? His dad's Joe.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Yeah. Your mom guessed Zach Zweizig. It was not
No.
Zach Zweizig. Nope.
No.
I taught Zach my first year teaching. I taught Zach.
So you know who it is. The name is just escaping you. It is Jake Templin.
Jake.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, Jake had 30 touchdowns.
Jakey. I
in
play
20
golf with a guy named.
2014.
Sorry, Jake. Asshole. I actually should just look at my phone.
Yeah, your mom's got a few. Zweizig, Hetrick. It was not neither of them. It was Jake Templin in 2014, 30. And I believe actually...
I was actually there
Yeah,
for that
the
game.
day
Yeah.
that it happened.
Yeah.
The
Yeah, it
game
was
that
in the
it
playoff
happened.
game. Which,
it was later,
yeah. You guys went a little further.
Yeah, well, we can have a discussion about the inequities of when we were playing in the playoff format versus what has
True,
been
the 6 games to
Right,
get the...
right. We bring that up to the kids about how there's
Like if we went 9-1, we might not
right
make
how
the
only
playoffs.
4 teams made it and there were only 4 classifications.
Yeah. No, but that's a heck of an accomplishment.
Yeah, and
good for Jake.
I talk about that 2014 team all the time. It's one of my favorites that I've ever gotten to see. So that was and Jake's great. So yeah,
Yep.
I had to throw that question in there. All right, last of the names questions. Chad Henne wore jersey number 7 as a Bulldog, Wolverine, Dolphin, and Jaguar before selecting number 4 as a Chief. Who wore number 7 before him in Miami and Jacksonville, and number 4 in Kansas City?
Oh, jeez.
I have no idea.
7 before me in the Dolphins was the kid that came to Philly.
Yes, you were absolutely right. Came from Philly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fiedler. Jay Fiedler.
No. You're close though. You're just confusing AJ Feely.
AJ.
Oh
yes.
yes, AJ Feely.
Ah.
Yes.
AJ Feely
gosh.
did wear number 7
Yeah.
before you with the Dolphins.
Okay.
Jaguars number 7. So you mentioned Mark Brunell. It was not Mark Brunell.
No, Mark
He
was
didn't-
number 8.
He was number 8. But the person who wore number 7 in
That
Jacksonville.
was McCown. Was it
No.
not McCown?
No. He may have worn it, but wasn't before
No,
you.
I think he was something else too.
This is Mark Brunell is the Jaguar quarterback because he was their first quarterback, one of their first quarterbacks. This guy's also synonymous with Jacksonville quarterbacks. He's also an offensive coordinator in the NFL right now.
Oh, Byron Leftwich.
Byron
Yeah.
Leftwich.
So that's
right.
the name I was trying to come up with when you were asking about like who the quarterback was before him, but I couldn't come up with it.
Okay. How about for the Chiefs? Who were number 4 you? Number 4 before
Nick
you. For the
Foles.
Chiefs. It was Nick Foles. And then he went and wore number 7 for the Jaguars then a little bit later. So
Just trying to follow me.
funky connections here. So yeah, that was it. All right, let's move on to numbers now. No more names. We're going with numbers. So our first numbers question: how many career touchdowns did Chad Henne throw at each level, high school, college, and the NFL?
Jeez. 77 in high school.
Oh, let's see. Hopefully, I got these right. Okay, so
70 something.
it's 74.
74.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was hoping that you weren't
College
precise on that.
college 87.
It was 87. Yes.
Pros was it 60?
60 does not include the postseason touchdown. I strictly went by
Yeah.
the way that Pro Football Reference had it listed. They don't include postseason
Yeah,
touchdowns.
which
for
pissed me
whatever-
off because my interceptions, I was like actually really excited because I was like, just leave me in so I actually can have either tie my interceptions or surpass it. And I kept looking, I'm like, I know I'm close. I thought I was like 1 or 2 away. You bum.
But yeah, postseason not included. Not included. So you nailed that pretty good. Yeah. The Wilson stats book, and actually I believe I looked it up online on a high school football website, had you at 74 for Wilson, 87 for Michigan, and then 60 in the NFL. All right, so question 2.
Justin, you need to pick it up.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh. This is
so
a lot of. A couple weeks ago, Natalie was down here. She got a NFL or a football trivia book
she was on
for-
the show
for
about a month ago
for
her
Chris.
birthday.
Oh, for her birthday.
Yeah, it was
and
right
she
before the
sat
Super
down
Bowl.
here and was just like rattling them off, and then like some we know right away, you know.
Sure.
But like, there's some where it's like, all right, like let's talk about, and then we have to be careful how we phrase it because like, is it an old player? Well, old to her and old
Yeah,
to
she could
us
be
is
like,
like,
yeah, he played in the 90s.
right, yeah.
All right, so a numbers question 2 of 5. Which NFL player caught the most touchdown passes thrown by Chad Henne, and how many? There's your numbers aspect of that one. We have already mentioned his name this evening.
Cecil Shorts.
It was
That
Cecil
was
Shorts.
gonna be
Do you
my
know how many? Numbers come full circle.
Let's go 7.
7, absolutely. Cecil Shorts, 7 touchdown receptions from.
Well, when you guessed
Chad.
77 high school, I was like, oh my gosh, that would be just crazy. Like,
All right, you got that one. All right, numbers question 3. Chad Henne was a second-round pick in the 2008 NFL Draft by the Miami Dolphins. What was his overall selection number?
no, I know I was sitting next to Joey and he almost punched a hole in the ceiling when that pick came through.
59.
You're very close.
7.
57.
57.
Yep, numbers coming around.
Yeah.
And I,
Yeah.
I always remember that one because that's my wife's favorite number for some bizarre reason, 57.
Nice.
I've always asked her, she's like, no explanation.
We're sitting there and it just like, you know how it is. You can start to get this stuff like coming through online before. And he's just like, oh my God.
Your mom got it, 57. She nailed that one. All right, so last 2 here, and then we'll finish up with a couple more questions that have come in since we started this. All right, number 4. Chad Henne's statistical best season as a Wilson Bulldog was as a junior in the fall of 2002. During a 5-day period in October that season, Chad connected with senior wide receiver Andy Lahato for how many touchdowns in a 5-day period?
5-day period.
I've heard this before, but I don't know what it was.
Because
but
I've mentioned it to you
Right,
a few
we've
times.
talked about this on.
Our game against Penn Manor got rained out and moved from Friday to Monday, and then we also turned around and played Township that Friday. So Monday to Friday that week, how many touchdowns did you throw to Andy?
It's on 2 games.
Yep.
Let's say 7?
I'm gonna guess 7 because
Yeah, you know what? Believe it or not, you're too low.
Oh my God. Oh, not the best teams of that year. 9?
It was 9. Yeah, you threw 4 on October 14th down at Penn Manor, Sugar Bowl. 5
Yes.
on Friday, October 18th at home for senior night. Andy caught 5 touchdown passes from you against Manheim Township.
there's a sandwich shop across from the field at Millersville there.
The Sugar
And-
Bowl.
Yeah, called the Sugar Bowl.
Oh, okay.
And it's become legendary status for us. And so when we go to the games at Penn Manor, we now go before the game and then we usually go
Also
after the game.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's just like your standard like
Right,
pizza
like-
sub shop on
Right,
a college
right,
campus,
yeah.
but it's just become this weird tradition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We actually had Bulldog Hour supporters pay for our meals the last time we
Nice.
went there.
We showed up
It
and
was
people
awesome.
paid. Yeah, it was great.
So it was,
No May sandwich shop though.
That's right. That's
No.
right.
I know. Trust me, my dad like when we go and if he's at the game, he's just like I feel weird eating at a place like this. I'm like, it's nowhere close.
Right. Right.
We're in a different county.
Right.
All right, so that was a good one. I like the Wilson question. All right, last one here. Last one. Oh, this one actually comes from Justin. He doesn't realize it, but he'll get it as soon as I read it. Chad Henne's retirement ends a long streak of Bulldogs in the NFL.
Oh.
How long has it been since a Wilson graduate was not on an NFL roster?
Come on.
How many days?
How many days?
Or you can give me it to me in years too.
Okay.
It's a long time.
Is it?
It's a very long time.
I was gonna say.
If he got the days, I'd be really
Yeah,
worried.
you're not gonna get the exact.
I'm gonna
days.
go with something with 7.
Yes, you would be correct. It is something with a 7 in it.
I'll say. Let's go with. What is it? 2023. Let's go. 11 years.
Nope,
No.
way longer than that. Since you were in for 15, so how many years are there? How many years since the last time an NFL roster?
And this doesn't
didn't
count
have-
as practice squad or.
So I went from a draft day to your retirement. Is
Okay.
essentially what I
Okay.
did. I know technically you probably wasn't under contract on draft day, but it made it easier for me.
Yeah. I don't know.
So we're talking the careers of
17 years.
you, John,
Yeah.
and Carrie.
Right.
Because
I mean, I
all
overlap-
overlapped.
yeah.
You all overlapped.
Yeah.
You overlapped with Carrie, actually.
Yeah. So that's 2010.
Right. So when
So 13 years.
no, it's combined. All
Oh,
of you. All
combined.
of you. Yeah, all of you.
Yeah, so
I
like,
got
when
you.
was the last time?
There
There
wasn't
wasn't
a
an
single.
NFL.
wasn't.
Yeah,
There
yeah,
wasn't
yeah.
a single.
I got you.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought like
No.
between us.
When's the last time there wasn't a single Wilson Bulldog on a roster? How long has that been?
So it's
It's a long time.
what 30.
Close. Yeah, close to it. So
27
it's 27.
There you go.
27.75 years. 27.
I got to
years.
give credit. I think I sent that to you, but I heard it from Jake.
Oh,
Well, the question
Jake-
we
Jake
didn't know,
Peterson?
but yeah,
He
Jake,
asked- okay.
and I think he heard it from I think Tony Setley, who he
Okay.
played with at Lebanon
Yeah.
Valley. So
Right.
like Jake went to
and we both
Tony,
played with
right,
Wilson,
yeah. So you both know him, yeah.
All right, so thank you to Tony, Jake, and Justin for that question.
Nicely
It's actually 10,159 days
Wow.
from April 22nd, 1995 through February 12th, 2023.
It's crazy.
Yeah, long. And when you posed that to me, it blew my mind. Like I was like,
Right.
it's a long time.
Right.
So I just picked out Carrie's draft date and your retirement date, and that's where we ended up.
I
He was
remember
94, right?
He was drafted in '95. His senior
95,
year was
yeah, yeah.
'94.
the year I moved here was the year John ended up getting drafted.
Okay.
And I just remember he'd be around, like,
Yeah.
working out. And I went to a small school, with generally not that too many big kids, stuff like that. And I see John, like, working out. I'm just like, that is a mountain of a man. Like,
Yeah.
and this isn't he is a big guy.
Sure.
But, like, in the NFL, he's
Yeah.
another guy, like, in
Yeah.
terms of size. Like, you just, man, I think that's one of those things. A lot of people don't appreciate that. Like, if you've never been around,
Yeah.
like, NFL
Sure.
players, like,
Yeah. Well, it's even basketball. You
guys-
go to a basketball game.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm around
Yeah.
big guys all the time.
Right.
But basketball is
right,
extreme.
right. Well, so my sister got to sit courtside at the Denver Nuggets,
Nuggets,
game
nice.
last Sunday, and she's just like, my sister's not real tall. And so some of these players are legitimately 2 feet taller than her. And
Jokic,
it's just
I mean,
right, he's just insane. And I was trying to get her to yell that Embiid's better the whole time, but she wouldn't do it. She wouldn't take me up on it. But
I would agree.
Right? Yeah.
I think we all would. Yes. So, Chad, we're just a few more questions here. Don't want to keep you too late, but you were kind enough to provide some pictures from your Super Bowl experience that I wanted to share while we go over these last few questions. So I'm going to roll through that for people watching here. You're just going to see some pictures that Chad kindly provided to us here. Some of you may have seen, some of them were new to me, so hopefully people will enjoy seeing them. But let's see. So we talked earlier about your appearance on shows with Adam Schefter and Ross Tucker, and we mentioned Jason and Travis's New Heights. Is there a chance that you're gonna get an interview with those guys at some point? Is there gonna be a Chad Henne segment?
I don't know, maybe, because I know they go down. Jason is in Sea Isle, and we go to Avalon, and Jason comes down. I think they do a charity event somewhere at a bar, and they actually do like the radio show there. It's like a thon, not a thon, but it's something like that. So maybe like I can get into that. I think it's usually in June, but I know that's a riot. So maybe
that would be interesting.
But
well, if it's a charity thing, it's a ticket event. Justin and I might have to. I think you would have no problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can drink like 20 beers with the Kelsey brothers.
Totally, Jason. Justin is in to do that with Jason.
Who doesn't want to do that, right?
Gosh. Yeah. I don't think that's enough for Travis. I think he could.
No.
The stories.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Let's see. What else I got here for? How about the relationship with the quarterback room? You know, like you and Patrick were really close, but it seemed that Shane Buechele and Chris Oladokin you guys were all really close. You were hanging out on the parade floats. I think were you all together? Was all the quarterbacks on one float together?
Yeah.
And Chris had that amazing shirt, not vintage, I think it was.
Yes.
I didn't even know that existed, and I saw that shirt. I didn't even realize it. You know, there were so many people on the floats with you and in the stands. Sure. I thought you were taking a picture when I first saw it of like a fan, and then I realized I was like, oh no, that's one of the other quarterbacks wearing that shirt. Amazing. So, what is it like with? Not just with Patrick, but with the young guys too. The guys that look up to you as the seasoned vet. Because I believe I saw somewhere. Were you the oldest player on the team this year?
Yeah, by 4 years.
Wow, the Chiefs are young.
Trying to think who's the next one. I mean, Kelsey's up there. He's 32. But
ancient.
Yeah, not bad. But no, I mean, those guys, the reason why I like them, first of all, I mean, I try to give back as much as I can and try to teach them what I've learned and always give them my information. But at the same time, they were always in there willing to work. And I think that's what I appreciated, because nowadays sometimes kids just don't want to spend the time and just think it's just going to be handed to them. But these kids really came in. Shane and Chris, I mean, Shane's been with us for 2 years now, but Chris came in and he fit right in. And
he was a Steelers draft pick, wasn't he?
Yes, so he's 7th-round pick with the Steelers. But I think they see like Patrick in there, they see me do all my work, and they kind of just like followed along. And we would quiz each other on the side, and it's kind of funny. I mean, I wish I would show you a video. I should have sent that to you. But my thing, like when we go to our home hotel, was like we would go over the first 15, and me and Patrick would rotate plays. So the assistant quarterback coach Girardi would say, here's the play, what's the formation? So that's like one of our little quizzes that we do. And my thing was, I was always so like, not antsy, but I was like, I try to lighten the room for especially the young guys. So my thing was how many steps I could do running on the wall, like each time. And I've had my footprints in this hotel for 5 years now. And it came to the AFC Championship, and they both looked at me like, you know, this might be the last time those footprints will ever be on this wall. Should you sign it with a Sharpie? I know we're getting totally off topic here, but this is like one of those stories. So I did it, and I'm like, okay, this is the last time we get to the Super Bowl, and I'm going at it. And I don't know if it was the texture of the wall, but it was a little bit stickier. And I've only ever gotten maybe like two and a half steps, which is kind of piss poor. Like, it wasn't great. And I felt like I was going to, like, fall and hurt myself. I got 4 steps that day and that night.
And they recorded it.
Oh, recorded it. And I was like, dude, we're winning. There's no way we're not winning. I just
You're number
beat
4.
my best.
Like,
yeah,
it's just
I beat my best by like a step and a half here, and I climbed up the wall and I kept going. I came down and actually almost hyperextended my knee and would have knocked me out, which would not have been good. But
So, well, I mean, that would have put the skiing
Yeah.
a little bit different.
yeah, hinder on that. But those guys, they worked hard. They kind of like watched me and continued it. They would step behind Patrick with me. We do all the drops, but they're just willingness to learn and always ask questions. I think was the best. So we had a great relationship.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I saw you guys just look super excited on that parade. The pictures from that are awesome. And
Yeah.
so I'm going to jump to that right now because I saw those.
And I don't know if Nagy's in a couple of those or not.
So he's actually taking pictures of you. I think.
I mean, I'm sure we all saw Nagy's dance. I mean, have you seen it on the internet at all?
I think I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I did.
Yeah.
So, what is that experience like? So I didn't realize, and I heard this on New Heights, Travis talking about it, that when you guys won 3 years ago, it was like super cold and
Really
awful
cold.
weather. Because I was thinking, I was like, I don't remember pictures from that celebration.
Yeah.
But these Fast and Furious, and you could find them. It's great you joining Instagram in the last year or two.
Yeah.
Because now everyone that tags you, you can find people tagging you. So
Sure.
I was able to find pictures like professional photos. Like this looks like an AP or a Getty photographer took these. They're really well done, or a professional photographer in Kansas City. But there are just people on the parade route like taking pictures of you and tagging you, and I could see all different angles of the same shot. But
Yeah.
these are fantastic. What was it like for you to be on the float celebrating like this, knowing that you were hanging them up, and this is one of the last things you'd get to do in the city, but also have Brittany and the kids with you to experience it as well?
I think that was the biggest thing because they weren't there the first time. So to experience it with them, and I mean, Patrick was great. I think I showed a picture of Chase holding his MVP.
I have that one.
Trophy, and we were on the bus before we ever got on the float, and Patrick's like, "All right, Chase, I'm going to have you be in charge of this," and I kind of like looked down. I was like, "Chase, don't drop that."
Sticky fingers.
I'm like,
sticky
yeah.
fingers.
But he was like, "Here, Chase, you do it." And I think there was one, I didn't send you the video, but there was one, a ball was thrown up to Patrick, and Chase actually caught it. And
I
Patrick
saw
like
that,
looked down
yeah.
and was like, "Were you throwing that to me?" And then Patrick was like, "Throw that back," and Chase threw it back, which is kind of cool. But
awesome.
they were like him, Kelsey. They were awesome with the kids, which was one of the best experiences, obviously for us as a family. But I mean, just to be with the city. I mean, all the I feel like Arrowhead's one of the best places to ever play. Like they get hyped each and every week. Some of the best fans, and to get back to them, high five them, and really get them engaged with us throughout that whole process was awesome.
You have anything else?
Well, just so like
I have a couple more.
I know you've gotten to play, and like it's maybe different because Arrowhead was like your home stadium, but like Arrowhead's an older stadium.
Mm-hmm.
And you go to places like Las Vegas,
Sure.
where like, and I think it's cool, but like I feel like Arrowhead's so cool, you know, and like I hate. Well, okay, well actually I'm changing my question mid thing here. What are your thoughts on the idea that the NFL may move the championship games to a neutral site?
No, they shouldn't.
I
completely agree.
I completely agree.
No, because
I
all the
completely
people,
agree.
first of all, ticket. We don't get paid without the fans. So,
Right.
like, to take it away from a team that has earned their spot, and for those fans to really
Right.
be engaged. No,
Well, that's like I saw they had talked about it this year with the potential because of the crazy situation. They were like,
Sure.
well, they sold a lot of tickets. I'm like, yeah, but that's misleading because I'm gonna bet that Arrowhead and the Link are also sold out
Sure.
this week. You know,
Right.
it's like
And
saying,
you're taking
oh,
away
we
from
sold,
families
right? Saying,
that-
oh, we sold
Yes.
80,000 tickets. That's fantastic. Guess what? We also sold 80,000. You know, like
Yeah.
it's misleading to be like, oh, well, we sold all these tickets. Well, yeah, but if you were having a team that couldn't fill their stadium, well,
Sure.
okay, then
Yeah.
like I understand, but that's not the
Yeah.
case. Like,
And you're taking away from a lot of people that almost take their whole paycheck that week
Yeah.
and go to the game and uplift their emotions. It's part of who they are.
Right.
And to say, oh, well, they spend this amount on a ticket and now take it away and now they got to travel somewhere just to root for their team. I
Right.
mean, that's
hope
absurd.
Hope to get the right to buy a ticket.
Yeah,
you know,
that's
like,
that's
don't-
just absurd.
I don't like it at all.
Yeah.
I don't.
no.
A question in the chat from Brianne Gasser. Do you have a favorite football memory? Is it Super Bowl related, or is there something else that just is it? Your first game somewhere. What is the one thing that when someone says, "Tell me about your career," what's the first image you see?
Yeah, I mean, obviously the Super Bowl's like the last game in Michigan, winning the Capital One Bowl, setting Lloyd Carr, coach off, those always resonate. I mean, obviously when we played at Wilson, but I just feel like it's all about the relationships that I've always been with. Like, there's always going to be the moments that I remember, but it's always going to be the people that I played with and the coaches and the people that have, supported me or throughout the way. And I think those are the memories that are going to be tough. Sitting in a locker room and just like talking, or just like there's a couple pictures of Patrick and I just sitting there after the game. Like, those are the moments that you really like cherish. Like, just like conversations that not even about football. It's just about life. And I think those are things that I'll always remember.
Last chat question. This one's loaded because it comes from my uncle,
who's a Patriots season ticket holder, by the way.
He wants to know, where did you not like playing? I'm assuming he talks about stadium-wise in the NFL. As a visitor, where did you not like to play?
Yeah, I mean, the old Chargers Stadium, Qualcomm, was horrible. Okay. The old Raider Stadium was bad. Okay. And I wouldn't say, like, the stadium itself were bad. I think it's probably more you walk into the locker room and you, like, have a hook, and then you got a stool. Like,
was it also painted pink like that?
Yeah, in Iowa. I mean, that was actually one of the nicest like locker rooms we ever were part of. Like, I love that. But there's like those are the ones that like I can see that I'm like, oh, like Notre Dame, like the older ones. Like, can we just like renovate the away locker rooms and just make it? But the hardest places to play, I mean, are all the rival games. I mean, it was hard to play. When it was in Oakland. Vegas is awesome. It's more of a show than
it's full on entertainment.
A game. Yeah, like you're always going to get entertained. You see all these different people and whoever's in town, like they're going to be at the game. That's cool. But I think the older, like Green Bay was always my favorite because they were welcoming, but it's again tradition, like Lombardi. Like I just envisioned all those coaches and all those players, like Starr, like Favre, like all those guys in those moments that are really cool.
Okay. Let's see. Jamie got the Wilson question. He said 27 years, so he was right on that. Yeah. All right. So let me. I had one or two that I wanted to single out. Make sure I got to. Where were we? Oh, this past August, the Chiefs posted on Instagram. You walking with your quarterback group, and
you picked that up. Actually, I didn't hear the Bulldog until Joey picked it up.
Hey, I do what I can. So, what was the onus of that? Like, where did that come from? What spurred that discussion?
Nothing, because first of all, that was probably like when I was really first social media. I had no clue. So, like the sound, like all that crap, and even posting. I'm sure like half my posters were like cut in half. Some like Patrick, Shane, and like Chris would always be like, "Dude, you got to repost that. You're cut off like the head." I'm like, "I'm sorry. Like, just why don't you guys do it for me?" And then when we picked that up, we were just walking. And I think there's always like a camera. Teams have been doing with a saying or a question.
Yeah.
And I think one of them was just like saying, and Patrick was like, Bulldogs or Wilson Bulldogs, and I was just like. All right. And I was like, I actually didn't even like, I didn't know what the heck he was talking about. I thought like somebody in the stands was from like Wilson, and I'm like, oh, somebody's like wearing a thing. I'm like, where? And then you showed me on Instagram, and I was like, oh shit. I was like, how the hell did he hear that?
So I was actually visiting my in-laws out in Pittsburgh. So I, shoddy cell service trying to get on, and I think it was Ryan Wolber again.
Yeah.
He tagged me.
Ryan was on it too. Yeah.
And he was like, did you see this? And I was like, no, but that is incredible. I got to repost
and
that.
It's going everywhere.
And then I think you reposted whatever I had posted, and you said something like, or you reposted the Chiefs post of it, and you said something about like the ducklings or something like that.
Yeah.
Following you.
Yeah, and then I was like, I didn't even know what the heck. And then I listened to it, and I'm like, oh wow, you actually have to put the thing with the X. You have to click that.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. Good.
But that was actually one of my other questions for you was what made you decide to join Instagram? Because we know you're the LinkedIn guy.
Yeah.
How are you now, Chad.s.Henne on Instagram? What created that? Was that something from family? Was that a Brittany thing? Was that a pressure for you have to be on some other form of social media other than LinkedIn? Like, what how did that come about?
Yeah, I think it was just like some of the opportunities was better on like those bigger platforms. Whether like I wanted like something like golf clubs or something like that I could like take advantage of, or something I liked that I wanted my agent to like either reach out to, or that I could support somebody or do something with. And he's like, well, the LinkedIn, they're not real high on that. I was like, what do you mean they're not high on LinkedIn? I'm like, that's the best platform there is. You can just talk about business and like actually read good stories. And so then I got on this Instagram. It's pretty good. I mean, it's been a lot of fun just to like watch. I mean, obviously we all know the stupid things that go on it, but they're hilarious, and it's a good platform to kind of engage and kind of reach out to people that you normally wouldn't do.
Justin and I only communicate in Instagram Reels. Like we just send funny ones back and forth. Like
you sent one that summarized it perfectly. Like we'd rather send things to our friends through social media instead of actually talk to each other all day.
Yeah. well, I mean, you've done a great job. You're up to 26,500 followers, which is pretty darn good. And I know for my Wilson content, I'm always excited to see what you post. And then I had to like focus on anything the Chiefs would post, because there's Patrick dropping Wilson Bulldogs, and anytime that you were doing something, I want to make sure that I shared it so that everyone in the community could see.
Sure.
And honestly, by and large, those get a huge interaction.
Yes.
So
Yeah, absolutely.
it's been a lot of fun. It's been real great. So my last question here, it's going to come full circle. I want to ask you how many times you think you've signed your name by now, because you can't go anywhere without having.
Well, after today, after the 3-on-3, it's definitely up another 100.
Well, and we also my daughter got you twice as soon as you got here. So yeah, I was just wondering that, because I've gotten into cards big time. We're back into cards. I was a huge card collector as a kid. I feel like it's like a rite of passage. Like, if you're a kid, you're going to collect cards, whether you're into the Pokemon or whatever it is, the art cards, game cards, or you're into the sports cards, which is what I went to, in the 90s growing up. And then just in the last 3 years, probably something out of the pandemic, just kind of, what can I get into? And I just loved opening cards, but seeing like the number of types of cards and the parallels of the cards and how many their autographs there are, just thinking, how many times does an athlete sign their name?
Yeah, I mean, obviously depends like how popular you are, but I would say a couple 100,000. I don't know. Especially when I was a rookie, when you say talking about cards, every rookie gets like a card deal, especially if you're drafted and you're slotted, a certain amount of autographs. So to have those, but yeah, I mean, back then I was signing probably almost 1,000 to 5,000 a day.
So I have 2008 rookie football cards here.
Look at that.
I'm gonna.
Like, how long have you had those?
About 3 days.
Oh, how the hell? That had to be expensive or not? No. Matt Ryan, Joe Flacco, and then Chad.
have these connections. So if you guys want to take a few packs, open these up.
If my son, obviously my son's not going to see this, but he loves cards now.
I'm also aware of that. So actually, I have this here for you to take home for Chase.
Oh, yeah. So, thank you.
So the only thing I ask is
Deshaun Jackson.
Deshaun Jackson.
Oh my gosh. By the way, I've got a good one for us.
Jay Cutler, he was in my draft class. That's not.
Well, they're not all rookie cards.
Oh, okay.
They just could have 2008 rookies in them.
Cedric Ellis,
so,
USC.
Let's
Cadillac
see.
Williams.
Roscoe Parrish, Jeff Garcia,
Donovan McNabb, baby.
Joseph Adai,
Derek Anderson,
Greg Jennings,
Jason Taylor,
Fred Davis.
With the red
55.
There you go. There you go.
Nice.
Mario Manningham.
That's awesome.
Algie Crumpler.
Algie. All right. So I think you probably only get maybe one rookie a pack or something. So the odds of us.
Deion Branch.
Oh, look
from
at
the
that
Miami
one.
Dolphins.
Yeah, there you go.
Nice.
We got two Michigan men here.
Antonio Pierce, Tom Brady.
Oh,
Throw that one.
Yeah.
John Elway. That's a good.
Okay, that's good. Trent Edwards. There's a quarterback. Frank Gore. Phillip Rivers. J.T. O'Sullivan. Is that a rookie?
Fred Taylor.
No.
No.
No, JT is.
No. He's older than that. Oh, here's the Matt Ryan.
Williams.
Oh, and Andre Woodson.
No, it's
too.
classic. Is like some of these pictures, like they call it the rookie premiere. We were in at the Coliseum in USC.
Brandon Marshall.
Like
that's where yours
sweating
was?
our asses off. It's like 110 degrees in that thing, and we're like, actually, there's one.
Oh my God.
What?
I pulled it.
Boom!
Are
We
you
got
serious?
it. We got
I
one.
pulled it.
No way.
Justin got one. Look at that.
Yes.
It's classic.
Here, you gotta hold that up. Look at that.
Look at
I
that.
pulled it
Boom.
live on air. Pack Griffin. Justin opens the Chad Henne rookie card.
I look huge.
That was was that the last card that you opened?
Second to last.
That's
Second to-
awesome.
It was the last pack. It was second. The last card was Jonathan Stewart.
All right.
But
I think the best one though, honestly, throughout that whole process, they cut up a leather helmet from back in the day, and they just had us
Yes.
put it on for like 2 seconds, and they cut it up and put it in a card.
Oh.
But that picture,
It counts as
is-
player worn.
yeah, is
Right.
Oh,
ridiculous.
I'm pretty sure I have it. I like.
It's bad.
Yeah, it was interesting to see how that went. So, you're obviously the rookie cards are the big ones that everyone wants. Those are the ones that are worth the most.
Yeah.
But the way that cards have gone in the last 5 years is absolutely insane.
Yes.
I don't know. Are you a card collector? You know about it because Chase is into
Yeah,
it.
Chase is, but there's guys in our locker room.
Oh,
Andrew Wiley,
Do
like
they
our right
collect their
tackle.
own, or they collect their teammates?
No, all
Just
kinds, like
everything.
Pokemon, like sport cards, and they're in like the best business because it's like, oh, I got a great Patrick Mahomes
Oh,
or
yeah.
Travis Kelce. Like, hey, can you sign it? And not that they're selling it, but they're keeping that for
Yeah.
probably 20 years, and then somebody's gonna be rich after that.
yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm super happy that that card was in there.
I mean, look at that, 2 Michigan guys,
I
Jake Long.
Look, you got both
right.
of them. And that might be a parallel right there too. Look at
That's
that.
sweet.
Yeah, and you got the Manningham. You got
Yeah.
like the trio.
Yeah.
The trio.
That's
so,
sweet.
well, there's no way I'm letting you leave without you signing that. So,
Yep, you got it.
but the only other thing I wanted to ask you was about March Madness.
Yeah. My bracket.
How's your bracket?
Sucks.
Is it
Sucks.
bad? Who do you have winning?
UCLA.
That's who I have.
Okay.
So. Still
I
alive.
probably haven't watched, and I'm a big Duke fan, and
Okay.
Duke already
Yeah,
lost. So
I
I think I have UCLA versus
So
Baylor.
I had UCLA, Kansas, so
Yeah.
I lost that one. Adam was disappointed to see Duke lose.
Yeah.
Who do you have
I
winning?
have Houston winning.
You have Houston winning. Okay.
Marquette was a Stevie actually played really well today.
He did. He
Yes,
did
he
play
did.
really well.
It's
Yeah.
a
That
bummer.
was a tough one. So
Generally, I'm happy to
Austin
see
was
Big Ten wins, but
really upset that Stevie and
Shocker.
Marquette lost. However, he was a bit relieved because he was in a panic because he's like, I picked K-State to win. That's who they would have to play in the next round. And he was like, I don't know what I do. I don't know what I do. Just like, buddy, we'll figure that out next week if we need to.
Yeah.
But he was upset from that.
speaking of Austin, not only did you and your teammates destroy Justin's hopes and
Oh,
dreams
gosh.
in
Oh, gosh.
the Super Bowl, you got to destroy Austin's hopes and dreams
So
2 weeks before.
Austin is a huge Chad Henne fan,
But
but he is
A Bengals
big Bengals fan.
Oh.
So he likes
Burrowhead,
so,
huh?
Well, so I say it's okay. My wife's a Steelers fan, so she's not okay with it. But like I'm like, oh, Bengals, that's fine.
Yeah.
Because he liked them. He liked Joe Burrow when he played at LSU because
Sure.
he liked Tigers.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's fine. And then Joe Burrow went to the Bengals, who were also Tigers, and he's like, okay, that's cool. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
And they were terrible. So
Yeah.
I was like, look, you're in when they're bad. Okay, like that's okay. Like, and then they got good, and I was like, oh no.
yeah, now this is a problem.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And I was like, it was tough because like there were tears, but like, okay, you know, it's all right. And I was okay because the Eagles are going to the Super Bowl, and but I'm just like, yeah. 2 weeks later, he goes.
Then he saw Dad cry.
Well, I was gonna say he's like now you know what it's like, and and he was trying to be comforting, like he was trying to be like, oh yeah, like he meant like, oh yeah, we've all been there, and I'm like, buddy, I'm an Eagles fan. I already knew what this was like.
No.
I didn't need to go through
Not
it
only
again.
are you an
but-
Eagles fan, you're a Philly sports fan.
Right.
You just got to see them lose 3 championships in,
Right.
6 months?
Right. You know, the combination of being older and they have won it, so like that
Right, yeah,
really
that's-
takes the edge
That
off.
certainly
Like
does.
Sure.
that, yeah, that one when we were in college, that did not set well.
Yeah.
I did not handle that one very well at all.
Well, Chad, I was going to invite you to our March Madness pool. I forgot to send you the link in one of my emails to you. But clearly there was nowhere for you to go. you couldn't. You've already reached the peak because the award for winning our bracket challenge is a show shirt and an appearance on the show, and you've already got all that.
All right,
So.
well, you
Maybe
would have beat my butt anyway.
maybe next year. Maybe next year. But every time March Madness rolls around, I think about in March, or I guess it was actually early April 2013 when we were in Atlantic City, walking around. Michigan was in the. I think there was that the Elite Eight going to the Final Four, maybe Final Four going into the championship. Michigan was playing.
Yep.
I think actually they were playing Syracuse, because Penn State basketball has.
I think that was
more
Chris's.
often
That
than
was Chris's.
Chris's
bachelor party. Yeah.
Penn State basketball, men's basketball has not been great.
Yeah.
So I don't get to cheer them on. So I always have an adopted team, and by and large that had been Syracuse. I'm a big Duke fan, love Coach K and everything, but Syracuse was the team that and I think that's who Michigan was playing that weekend. And Michigan went to the national championship that year. But we're walking around Atlantic City, and every single person that is wearing a Michigan shirt, you walk up to and just yell, "Go Blue!" And they have no clue. It was hilarious. You know, this
Probably
is
Chris scared him off. I mean, jeez.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see that.
It was so funny when we were walking from casino to casino in this courtyard, and these two girls walking the Michigan shirt, and you're just like, "Go Blue!" and they just kind of like looked at you, and they have no
loser.
idea. Like, he's like, "Yeah, like." It's only funny because the 5 or 6 guy that were here were laughing, and it's one of the funniest things I think of every time March Madness rolls around. Is, the most successful Michigan quarterback just told you "Go Blue" and you have no clue.
True fans.
So
that I've heard that story, and it's actually like my nightmare because I'm just like, oh gosh,
who do I not recognize?
Right, if somebody wouldn't like, if I wouldn't recognize somebody that I'm like, oh my gosh, I'd feel like an idiot.
Yeah,
like not saying Jake Templin. I mean, not that, but like seriously, like come on. I
remember,
I talk to Jake like probably every year. I'm like, come on, dude.
So, well, I think that's it. I think I think I'm out of questions. I think I got everyone in the chat. If I missed you, I'm sorry. But I think we got him out. Cheryl said we can burn the Elway card. Your mom does not like John Elway.
So my mom's from Baltimore, and he refused to go there.
Yeah.
And she's from Baltimore, so they're just super
subject.
stubborn, and will never. I say that like I still like. Scott Rowland made the Hall of Fame this year, and I'm like, no.
But, all right, well, I think that's it. Chad, thank you so much for joining us. I know we went a little bit, actually a lot longer than I expected to go, but we had a lot to talk about. I love playing trivia with you, and thanks for answering the questions that I had and the chat had and that Justin came up with, and for opening cards and pulling one of your own. I guess Justin pulled it, but you were here to see it.
Yeah, that's
so
cool.
That was a lot of fun. So, hopefully we'll get to talk with you more often now that you're back in the area, and we do really appreciate you calling us 2 years ago. That was
awesome.
certainly a highlight, and all the times you've been on the show with us. Glad you're healthy to be here with us this time.
Yeah. There you go.
We missed the Bulldog Hour a few years ago for that one. The Super Bowl recap the first time, and awesome that we got to do it a second time. So yeah, congratulations on the second Super Bowl win and your retirement, and looking forward to seeing what you got going on next in your career and with your family.
Yeah, thanks so much. It was a pleasure having being on here and talking with you guys for sure.
All right. Anything else from you, Justin? Anything to say before we get out of here?
No. Yeah, thanks for coming on. I know
Absolutely.
it's taking time out, so appreciate it.
All right. Well, that is it for episode 374 of the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show. Another interview with Chad Henne, and we will be back again in 1 week. We'll be back to playing NCAA Football 14 Dynasty mode.
Yes,
we're in our 4th year with the Florida Atlantic Owls. Nice. We're 34-10 I think so far in 3.5 years. So we got it going on. We're not on what is it, Heisman? We're not on Heisman. We're on All-American. We didn't think we could start at Heisman, so we're an All-American. He's defense, I'm offense. Pulled a few upsets. We beat LSU in the swamp.
Did you guys bring like Lane Kiffin back or what?
No, it's Coach J-Raff. It's just the magic of Justin and I together. So, so we got a lot of people, tons of watchers, which is what I expected. So, appreciate you, Chad. Thanks also, Justin, for taking the time out. I know you guys are away from family. Don't want to hold you up much longer. So, we will say good night. And Justin and I will be back again in 1 week to continue probably talking about the NFL, because what else? I mean, we'll push baseball another week, you know. Although we do have Andy Hofford coming on to last year's March Madness winner in 2 weeks. He's going to join us. We're going to talk Penn State football then. But maybe we do have to do our baseball preview next week then.
That's right. Phillies all the way, baby.
Phillies. Let's do it. Let's do it. All right. So thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll be back in about a week. Birthday shout-outs. Tomorrow's Greg's birthday. Happy birthday to Greg.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Greg.
And also, I think that's it. We got another show before a few other birthdays I'm going to shout out. So, Deb Redkay says, welcome home, Chad and family.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks, everyone, for joining us. Appreciate it. We'll see you again in 1 week.
That's a wrap on this episode of the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show, brought to you by Mays Sandwich Shop. Woo-hoo! You can watch each weekly episode live on Facebook, Periscope, or YouTube. Be sure to like, follow, or subscribe to the show on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play. You can also rate and review us on many of these platforms as well. We'd love to hear from you. Send your emails to the Mays Sandwich Shop inbox at joemaysandjraff@gmail.com. The Joe Mays and J-Raff Show is a part of the JMNJR Radio Network, home to other productions such as the Bulldog Hour, Tangents with Friends, and Nat Chats with Dad. Until next time.